you were looking at this face and listening to this voice, you are tuned in to the best kept secret in sports talk. I am smoking. You are officially on the hot seat. What are we doing on the hot seat? We set somebody's ass on fire. Who are we setting on fire this week? You guessed it. Florida State. Florida motherfucking State. I got some gospel for you this week. Yeah, I got some gospel for you today. So paying homage to the ghost to my left and my right. Class in session, man. Listen, guys, I can't keep coming to y'all like this. Like I'm running out of shit to say. Like, this shit is bad. This shit is really bad. I'm running out of ways to describe how bad this shit is. Florida State coming off another loss. I think it's the fifth loss of the season to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Panthers. Final score 41-17. Not going to get too much into the game, right? Of course, there were things I saw that, we could discuss, but we got bigger fish to fry. So I remember after the Louisville game, I told myself, I asked myself, I wonder who's going to be the backup quarterback moving forward. Because if you remember, that's the first time we had a chance to see Chuba Purdy at quarterback in a meaningful game for Florida State. And, James Blackman was sick. He didn't make the trip. So I'm like, I wonder how they're going to juggle this. And I told myself, depending on who the backup quarterback is for the remainder of the season, is going to tell me everything I need to know about Florida State. I'll explain to you why. It seems to me as if everybody understands Florida State is in the rebuild, except for the people who call the fucking shots. Everybody sees it. The fans, the players, the media, maybe even the coaching staff. Everybody understands that this is a fucking rebuild, except for the people who make all these fucking decisions. Here's why I say that. If you remember, I discussed with you all about why I wouldn't play Chuba Purdy this season. My reasoning behind that is because if you were going to play a true freshman quarterback in college football, there needs to be a stable environment, not just for the kid to flourish, but for the kid to maintain some level of confidence moving forward. Because if you throw these kids out there to the fire, you can kill them. You can kill whatever it is they have going for them, all the confidence they have, everything, all the innocence that a true freshman may have. You can destroy it if you throw them to the wolves too quickly, right? So you look at a Jaden Daniels, you look at a Sam Howell. I'm just naming true freshman quarterbacks who played here recently. To a lesser degree, Josh Rosen. Those programs were stable when those kids came out there to play football. Those programs were stable when they decided, hey, you know what? A child will lead us. When they put those true freshman quarterbacks out there to lead the team, notice I'm not saying good. The operative word here is stable. Ain't a motherfucking thing stable at Florida State right now. Nothing. So I told myself that if I see James Blackman, they get it. If I see James Blackman as the backup quarterback, if something were to happen to Jordan Travis and we had to go to another quarterback, as long as that quarterback was James Blackman, they understand. They understand that this is a rebuild. All right? I'm cool with James Blackman playing. I don't give a lovely fuck if James Blackman gets out there and loses every game for the remainder of the season. I'm fine with it. Because if you are a fan of this channel, you know one thing above all else when it comes to Florida State. I fucking hate the administration. I hate the administration with a passion. And I understand that there are politics when it comes to college sports. And there are politics when it comes to professional sports. So as I'm seeing James Blackman trot out there to the field, now, be clear, I left. I stopped watching the game. I didn't need to see it, right? I knew how this shit was going to end up. I was cool with it, right? But I wasn't going to put myself through that on no Saturday night. I get an alert to my phone. Well, I'm sorry, I get a text message to my phone. Somebody asked me, hey, are you seeing this? And I said, yeah, I don't need to see James Blackman. I'm good on that. Like, no, Chubba's out there. Chubba who? Chubba Purdy. Bullshit. I just saw James Blackman. He got hurt. Now they yanked him. I looked at my watch and I saw the time in which I left from the time in which I got the text message. I'm like, wait a minute. How they yank him that goddamn quick? Oh, he threw an interception. And they pulled him? I'm like, yeah. Here's why you don't play Chubba Purdy. Like I said, if you play James Blackman, that means you get it. That means you understand that this season is a wash and you are rebuilding. If you play Chubba Purdy, you're trying to fucking win. Wait a minute. Ain't that why they play the game? Yeah, it is. I got no quarrel with people want to go out there and win. I understand it. But you remember when I referenced stability? One thing I pointed out was you put Chubba Purdy back there behind that line in a live scrimmage. He breaks his collarbone from a teammate. Friendly fire. His own teammate broke his collarbone. I asked you all then, what the fuck do you think somebody's going to do who actually has bad intentions? After Love Taylor got hurt, that goddamn offensive line went to shit. The bottom fell out. So, again, I'm not watching the game, but I'm thinking to myself, you put him behind that? You put Chubba Purdy behind that. You already have a defense. That fucking defense. Actually, the defense didn't play badly. They were just put in bad positions, and that's the coach. We'll talk about that later. I'm not going to get on coaching right now. We'll talk about that later. But you're going to put Chubba Purdy back there behind a bad offensive line that seemingly couldn't run block or pass block Saturday. You're putting him out there with a young receiving core who isn't playing well. Your best receivers almost seems as if he was playing on one leg. Terry didn't have the burst that we normally see him with. They're coming off an historically bad, the receivers I'm speaking of, coming off a historically bad performance when they played Louisville. And again, you're playing the defense who they couldn't stop a running nose. How the hell is any of that conducive of success? What the hell are you setting the kid up for? So to me, if you play Chubba Purdy, I'm going to assume you don't get it anymore. If you're playing Chubba Purdy in this situation with this team, there's something you're missing. Because there is no fucking way you can explain to me that you think this is a good idea. You're still trying to win football games, aren't you? Let me explain something to y'all. Whatever this season is, that's exactly what it's going to be. And when I went back and watched the game, everything that I thought came into fruition. Everything. He was running for his fucking life. He was running for his fucking life. At times, you had two linemen missing assignments. They stopped, figuratively speaking, they stopped running the goddamn football. And you have young receivers out there trying to catch passes, run routes. They're missing blocks as well. That shit was hard to watch. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is he doing out there? And why in the hell did you pull James Blackman after one series? You want a spark. A spark of what? A spark of what? You thought you were going to get it from a true freshman? If you thought you were going to get it from a true freshman, he would have been the motherfucker you tried it out there to begin with. it wouldn't have been James Blackman. You've seen what you're going to get from James Blackman. We've all heard that song before. But here we are, looking at Chubba Purdy run for his life every other play. You are not going to be able to honestly give an assessment about that kid versus what you saw out there. The coaching staff is not going to be able to say he can do this well, he can do that well, we may need to scale back here, we need more work here. You can't fucking do that because look what the hell he was playing with. How smart is that? My problem with all of this is it seems as if everybody understands that this is a rebuild except for the people who make the goddamn decisions. If it's a rebuild, then let's rebuild it. You strip all this shit down and you build it back up. There is no such thing as a semi-rebuild. If it is, point me into the direction of it. I'd like to see it. Either you're rebuilding or you're not. It's just that fucking simple. You are setting that kid up to fail by playing him right now. Whoever's going to commit to Florida State, they're going to commit. Whoever isn't, isn't. At the way things are set up right now, you had a golden opportunity after you beat North Carolina to salvage this season. You didn't. You got to take that for what it is. You have to take that for what it is. You've been losing to teams you shouldn't have lost to all season long. And with a double-digit deficit, with the team playing as poorly as it was on both sides of the ball, you decide to bring in a true freshman quarterback. Something wrong with this picture. Somebody has to help me understand this shit. Is it a rebuild or isn't it? There is no in-between here. If it's a rebuild, you sit that kid's ass on the sideline. If he's truly the savior of the program, as most folks have pegged him to be, your job is to make sure he's set up to succeed at all costs. You did not do that Saturday. If you put him out there again, you are doing him a disservice. You're doing the entire team a disservice. While are we talking about it? We need to find a way not to play that Clemson game. They might hang 80 on us. They hang 80 on us. I'll be on suicide watch. That ain't gonna go well for no goddamn body. Anyway, if like I said, if you are a fan of this channel, you know one thing for fucking certain: I hate the administration, and this is why. This is why. Norvell is doing a piss poor job. Somebody has to fucking say it because the media definitely won't do it. The media is doing a grand job of blaming the kids for all of this shit and taking that goddamn coaching staff off the hook. And I'm not saying that kids don't have some level of culpability, but hey, let's bring the goddamn coaches into this. Norvell is not. What's worse about all of this? This season was set up for him to, if not do well, be decent. Look at the fucking schedule. Look at the goddamn schedule. He could have at least come out of this shit at 500 and no one would have had an issue with it. Not only are you not going to get to 400, you were getting your ass throttled by teams you should beat. At least when Willie Taggart had his ass getting the doors blew off his motherfucking ass, they were by teams who were better than Florida State. Here you have a goddamn coach. When you're playing, you're not even scoring. Like, you're not even scoring. Like, you're not field goals, safeties, nothing. You're not even scoring in the second half of football games. And this is supposed to be an offensive-minded coach. I told y'all I did not want Mike Norvell. I told y'all. And I'm not even saying he's not the person for the job. Because truthfully, we don't fucking know yet. And whether I wanted him or whether I wanted him then, whether I don't want him now, he still deserves 3 years, right? All coaches do. He still deserves 3 years. But here's why I didn't want Mike Norvell or a coach like Mike Norvell. I think I just discussed this a few shows ago. He didn't come in with any leverage. Prime example. Doing these shows and discussing Florida State as much as I have, I run into some really great fans, and we talk regularly. I've actually run into some insiders, people who are close to the program, so to speak, right? I've seen screenshots. I've been privy to conversations people have had. Dan Lanning wanted to come to Florida State. Well, let me rephrase that. Dan Lanning had serious interest in coming to Florida State. Now, there are conflicting reports about why he didn't come, but ultimately, from what I was told, it fell back on the administration and the boosters. That's why I didn't want Mike Norvell. Nothing against him. Nothing against him. I told you all we needed a coach that had leverage. That's why they were going big name hunting. We needed a coach with some leverage. Here's why. A coach with some leverage, a coach who has some type of pedigree of winning or building programs up from nothing. They can come in and say, this is what I want. You're going to have to give me what I want. If not, I'll walk because you need me more than I need you. That's not the case with Mike Norvell. He's coming from Memphis. He needed Florida State way more than Florida State needed him. He came with no leverage. Look at his goddamn contract. He got paid less. He's getting paid less than Willie Taggart was supposed to get paid. He had no leverage. That's why I didn't want him. It had absolutely nothing to do with the X's and O's. It had nothing to do with his personality. None of that shit. Any coach that was a Mike Norvell or anything like a Mike Norvell, I didn't fucking want because I knew, and I knew then and I know now, that this goddamn administration needed to commit to winning. And they won't. If you keep bringing in coaches like a Mike Norvell, I'm not going to say you won't win, but it'll definitely be an uphill battle. And again, I'm telling y'all, this isn't something I think. I'm telling you all what I know. Dan Lanning had interest in coming to Florida State. And here we are with Adam Fuller. Shit. And that's kind of one of the issues I have with people comparing Mike Norvell to Willie Taggart. It's not a fair comparison because of what they were asked to do when they got here. And this is why we have, this will further drive home my point about us having a piss poor booster and admin. Willie Taggart was brought here to replace somebody, right? You had a coach who left. He was brought in as his replacement. What he was tasked to do is vastly different from what Mike Norvell is being tasked to do. His task is to rebuild Florida State and bring it back to prominence. That's not what they were asking Willie Taggart to do. I get it. I understand what you're saying. They were both brought here to win games. I'm not dismissing that. I'm telling you they were dealing with two different monsters internally. People got on Willie Taggart because they said he oversold the program. He had no choice. In order to get people to donate to the program again, in order to generate some type of excitement, you have that standalone football facility. He had to oversell the program. He had to insert some level of excitement in the program. Well, Mike Norvell, because what we found out on the back end of this Willie Taggart shit was the program was in worse condition than what we thought. It was way more fucked up than what we thought, right? So you fire Willie Taggart. Okay, right. 5 year and a half into the tenure, cool. Whatever. I'm thinking, sitting in this seat, I've had discussions with you all before. You're going to have to bring in a coach who has some type of resume of rebuilding a program. It makes no fucking sense to go out and get another Willie Taggart. You remember Mark Stoops saying that he withdrew his name from contention because he thought Florida State was going big name hunting? They were. I can tell you, and this isn't to rehash any any more bad feelings about the Bob Stoops things, but I can tell you for a fact, I know they was having discussion with Bob Stoops. And I was on board because here is another coach with some leverage. Leverage. Even the James Franklin thing, even though I don't think it was ever going to pan out, I think James Franklin was doing what Jimbo did with LSU, just, playing a school against another school to get more money. I don't think he was ever going to leave Penn State. I wanted him to because he brought leverage. But here we are, Florida State nickel and diamond head coaches again, tying their hands behind their fucking back, making things more difficult for them. When we've been shouting for at least a year and a half now, give the people what they want. Give the coaches what they want. Commit to the program. I said before 2013, great time for Florida State, but it was also something that you see the trickle down effect still burning right now. That was one of the worst things that could happen to Florida State because Florida State won a national championship. Jimbo won a national championship without all of the bells and whistles you see a Georgia or an Alabama or Clemson use, right? He had a booster program that didn't fully buy in the way you see other programs buy in when you talk about facilities, numbers of assistants, things of that nature. He did it. Well, they're thinking to themselves, if he can do it, you can do it. You don't need all of this to win a national championship. Yes, the fuck you do. You do. And they won't wake up and understand it. And just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, now the reason why I didn't record last night was because someone told me that, hey, listen, they're going to have a lot of players opt out. I don't know exactly when, but you're going to have a lot of players opt out. I couldn't get any names, but here we are. The report dropped from 24/7 this morning that players are contemplating opting out, right? That's great for those kids. It's a business decision. You have to do what's best for yourself. But from a program standpoint, how bad is this shit? Right? Like, just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. And, whenever a new coach comes in, you have to manage, you have to, you're going to have to deal with some level of attrition. I get that, but god damn. Like the list that came out today, there was a lot of players on that list, and there was a lot of veteran players, and there was a lot of players who played a lot of snaps. And I'm telling you right now, who the hell do you replace those guys with? Because some of y'all still want to win football games, and if you do, you can't just say, well, good riddance, the hell with them. Who you going to replace them with? Listen, people, if you throw a kid out there and he doesn't know what he's doing, those snaps really don't mean anything. There's nothing to learn from if you don't know what you're doing. Because you can watch football and say, hey, you know what? There's a teachable moment. It's a teachable moment if the teacher knows what the hell they're doing. It's a teachable moment if you know what you're teaching. Anybody got any faith that Adam Fuller knows what he's doing? How many teachable moments would Chubba Purdy have playing behind that offensive line? You have to put these things in their proper context, people. Florida State is in shambles. I don't know if it's been this bad before. It definitely hasn't been this bad in my lifetime, I don't think. Florida State is in the rebuild. If Florida State is in the rebuild, everybody needs to understand this is a rebuild. I'm not saying Mike Norvell can't turn this around. We don't really know if he can. But on the surface right now, in the interim, ain't looking good for him. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve 3 years. He should get his 3 years. It's just not the route I would have gone. Because if you went big game hunting and you struck out on all the big names, a coordinator would have served you better. I would have gotten somebody like Tony Elliott from Clemson to be my head coach, and I would have gotten somebody like Corey Raymond from LSU to be my defense coordinator. That's the route I would have gone. But here we are. I guess that's all the time I'm going to give you. That's all the time I got. Like I said, I can't keep coming to y'all talking about this shit because I'm running out of shit to say. You all see the same things I see. I think it's incredibly important that everybody be on the same page. I think politics do play a great part in college sports. And I think there may be some pressure being levied down as it relates to, hey, we want to see what this quarterback you got from Arizona can do. We want to see what he got. It's not a good idea because, again, everybody needs to understand that this is a rebuild. If everybody doesn't understand that this is a rebuild, then this isn't going to go well because you can't keep bringing in head coaches every year and a half. Because at the end of the goddamn day, anybody and everybody wants job security. Nobody's going to want to come to Florida State who can do a decent to good job knowing that he only has a year and a half or 2 years to get things right. It's going to take longer to do that, right? Um, I don't think I know for a fact Texas didn't want Charlie Strong back after his second year, but they gave him his third year. That's what you're supposed to do. Somebody needs to tell Florida State that. Florida State as a program is in better condition if Willie Taggart is still here. Whether he should have been here for a fourth year would have been debatable, right? But at the very least, there would have been some type of stability here. There would have been some type of direction here. And maybe then you move on from it and bring in a bigger name or somebody who you feel can finish the job for whatever the reason, right? But at the same time, you needed somebody to be here 3 years to weather the storm. You fired him and created another storm. How fucking smart was that? Hey man, that's it. You can follow me on Instagram at the Hot Seat 19. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hot Seat 19. Appreciate your time. You all know that you can get on those comments. I'm gonna get back to you as soon as I can. But as always, y'all have a good one. You are officially off the hot seat.